This is the answer key video for the Inquiry Lab Solve Equations with Rational Coefficients, pages 455 through 456. Feel free to pause the video, rewind it, or rewatch any parts at any time. How can you use bar diagrams to solve equations with rational coefficients? 2/3 of Chen's homeroom class plan to participate in the school talent show. If 16 students from the class plan to participate, how many students are in the homeroom class? What do you know? What do you need to find? 2/3 of Chen's homeroom class plan to participate in the talent show. If 16 students from the class plan to participate, how many students are in the homeroom class? So we know that 16 students plan to participate. What do you need to find? We need to figure out how many students are in the homeroom class. Here's how we're going to solve it. You can represent the situation above with an equation. Step 1, draw a bar diagram that represents the total number of students in the class and how many plan to participate. In the box, I wrote that 16 is the number of students who plan to participate. Step 2 is to write an equation from the bar diagram. Let C represent the total number of students in the class. So 2/3 of the total class plan to participate, and 2/3 of the class is equal to 16. Step 3, find the number of students represented by the sections of the bar. Write that number in each section of the bar in step 1. So if 16 represents 2/3, each third is going to be half of 16. Half of 16 is 8. Since each section represents 8 students, there are 8 times 3, or 24 students in the class. You can check your solution by substituting in 24 for C. Investigate. Work with a partner to solve the following problem. Eliana is spending 3/5 of her monthly allowance on a costume for the talent show. She plans to spend $24. Draw a bar diagram to represent the situation. Then write and solve an equation to find the amount of Eliana's monthly allowance. Eliana is spending 3/5 of her monthly allowance. So I'm going to break this into 5 pieces. I'm going to shade in 3 out of the 5 pieces. 3 out of the 5 pieces represent $24 in total. Let's let A represent the total allowance per month. So 3/5 of A is equal to 24. I can solve for A using the bar diagram. I can take 24 divided by 3, which represents 8. So each piece out of the 5 pieces represent $8. Then I can multiply 8 times 5 to get 40. Eliana's total allowance each month is 40. Work with a partner to answer the following question. Suppose Eliana planned on spending 3/4 of her monthly allowance on a costume. How would the diagram and equation be different? So instead of breaking the bar into 5 pieces, it would be broken into 4 pieces. And then the equation would be different because instead of 3/5 A, it would be 3/4 A equals the amount that she spends. Create. Write a real-world problem that could be represented by the equation 2/3 x equals 12. Then solve the equation. Take some time to try to come up with your own situation, and then keep watching the video to see my example. So I'm going to make my example about cookies. So I'm going to say that Grandma Ginny gave away 2/3 of the cookies she made. She gave away 12 cookies. So how many cookies did Grandma Ginny make? Number 4 says, How can you use bar diagrams to solve equations with rational coefficients? I'm going to use the example from number 3 to explain. So if I were to break the total cookies into 3 pieces, I know that Grandma Ginny gave away 12 cookies, and that was 2/3 of the total she gave away. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so each of these is worth 6. So I can solve that because I can multiply 6 times 3, so I know that Grandma Ginny made 18 total cookies. So that was an example of how you can use bar diagrams to solve equations with rational coefficients. So in summation of what I did, I divided it into sections and then I multiplied by how many per section. This concludes the answer key video for pages 455 through 456 Inquiry Lab.